distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day. I'm extremely delighted to welcome you all to this special webinar on the geopolitical competition in Central Asia and its implications to the Middle East, Russia, South Asia, and East Asia. Now, before starting the program, I wish to indicate a few house rules that I wish to keep in mind, particularly for the rest of the session. The first is that questions for the speaker should be typed under the Q&A panel. These may be posted anonymously, and please indicate the speaker to whom you are referring your question to. Now, the moderator will choose questions and read them out during the open forum. The hosts reserve the right to remove in webinar participants who send rude, inappropriate questions or messages. We would like to remind you that this is an academic discussion. Hence, everyone is expected to express their opinions in a professional manner. Thank you very much. Now, the coinciding celebration of the 30th anniversary for the 5 Central Asian states since the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 and the COVID-19 pandemic have created varied perceptions on the whole region. Moreover, these questions of misperception, either positive or negative, have been ongoing. Since then, Central Asia has become a focus of external actors in enhancing their foreign policy and gaining geopolitical benefits in the form of FDIs, soft power, security guarantees, and political stability. This session seeks to uncover key questions on integration, interregional engagement, and regional ideology. Now, with that, we are glad to have with us a special guest who will speak on these points. Now, before getting into the discussion, I wish to turn over the virtual floor to the Dean of the University of the Philippines Asian Center, Dr. Henelito A. Sevilla Jr., to deliver the welcoming remarks. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Don. To our distinguished speaker today, Professor Dr. Mukan Saken from the Department of International Relations and Administration. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, Narksost University in Kazakhstan. To the panel of reactors, Professor Limfa Caballero, College of Administration, Bukidnon State University, and Mr. Gabriel Hondraga, our Filipino PhD candidate in International Relations from People's Friendship University of Russia. Officers and members of the Philippine Middle East Studies Association, attendees, colleagues, students and friends of our partner universities, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good afternoon to all of us. In Russian, Dobryye dien. Is that correct, Dr. Mukan? Central Asian region has not been fully explored in the Philippine academic writings and discussions. For many of us, if not all, our reference to this important sub-region still focus on the Cold War background where West is pitted against the communist bloc and where the communist ideology has seemed to be the antithesis of the much beloved capitalist ideology during the Cold War. Given this Cold War perception vis-a-vis territories of the former USSR, or in our topic today, Central Asia, many, if not all, still look at this former USSR territories like it had never changed at all. This perception vis-a-vis the region may be a byproduct of our limited interactions with Central Asians and or because of the limited scholarship production available to Filipino students and audiences. It is worth to mention that although the Philippine government or the Philippines as a whole have been keen on expanding ties with Central Asian republics, our ability to strengthen these ties are simply constrained by our limited knowledge, budgetary consideration, as well as limited presence of Filipino workers in the area. Given this dynamism, it is important that initiatives to create joint academic, research, and cultural collaboration shall be forged between our universities and think tanks to understand the region and identify areas of commonalities where the Philippines can advance its national interest vis-a-vis the Central Asian region. Perhaps one way to study Central Asia is to look at it from its geostrategic value, which is very much attached to four strategic elements. One is the importance of geography, which connects the West and the East. And just a few years ago, we heard about China trying to revive the Silk Route, and Central Asia is simply serving as an important conduit between the West and the East. The second one is the importance of language affinity. Many of the Central Asian republics speak Turkish language or within the family of Turkic language, with the exception of Tajikistan, which is more or less speak the language of Persia. The third one is the shared history with Russia or former USSR. And finally, number four is its strategic resources in terms of oil and gas reserves, particularly in the Caspian Sea. From my point of view, these four strategic elements may serve both as an advantage or advantages for the Central Asian Republic, but if you look at it from the other side of the coin, they will also serve as the liabilities for the Central Asian republics as they find their ways into the newly formed geopolitical rivalries between the global and regional powers. To give us an idea, the region in Central Asia remains the center of power struggles and become the focal point of strategic assessment, where global powers such as the United States of America, China, Russia, and the European Union in the other side, and regional powers like Turkey, Iran, India, and Pakistan continue to rival each other's interests in that particular region. Recent change in the geopolitical landscape of the region lead many analysts and decision makers to ask, what would be the prospect of Central Asia's geopolitics and how this prospect can or will impact on the Asian sub-regions in terms of economic, migration, political, as well as security connectivity. In addition to this, the COVID-19 pandemic has offered a new perspective in which American influence in the region is somehow challenged by the rising influence of China, specifically in terms of vaccine diplomacy. Now, today's lecture will hope to provide us a general perspective regarding these compounding elements, as well as offers an analysis on what has been achieved after 30 years of USSR collapse, specifically in Kazakhstan, in Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan. As mentioned by the author or the lecturer in his abstract, the lecture will focus or will seek to answer the following questions. Are Asian or Central Asian states really ready for free or open market integration? In a much globalized world, how does Central Asian states preserve their national interest? Number three, what does it mean by independence for the Central Asian states in the post-Cold War era? And number four, what economic, political, and strategic incentives can Central Asian states get from allying either with global or regional powers. To conclude, 6 critical issues remain and require closer evaluation for Central Asian republics. Number 1 is the power rivalry between Russia, US, and China, as well as between Iran, Turkey, India, and Pakistan. Number 2 is the pipeline politics between Russia, Iran, and Azerbaijan-Turkey corridor. Number 3 is the issue about the legal regime on how to divide the Caspian Sea between Russia, Iran, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Turkmenistan. Number 4 is that the return of Taliban to power and the possible export of Islamic fundamentalist ideology to Central Asia and the neighboring region. And number 5 is the issue of democracy and liberalization, as well as the resurgence of authoritarianism to Central Asia or to Central Asian Republic. And lastly is the issue about poor infrastructure, lack of human resources, and weak governance. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, and to put substance to this webinar today, let me welcome Dr. Saken Mukan, and of course, all participants for today's activity. Thank you very much. In Russia, they say it, Bolshoye Spasibu. I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon sa ating lahat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sibilia, for that wonderful welcoming introduction, and of course for mapping out and setting the agenda for today's very substantive discussion. Now, towards our webinar, our special guest is none other than Dr. Saken Mukan. He's an associate professor at the Department of International Relations and Administration at Narkoz University in Kazakhstan. He obtained his PhD in International Relations from Kazar Ablai Khan University in 2015. His PhD thesis was focused on national interests in oil and gas industry, international experience, and Kazakhstan, funded by the Kazakhstani Ministry of Education and Science. Now, Dr. Mukan was also awarded the John Monnet Research Project on Diversification of EU energy supply, Challenges and Opportunities for Central Asia in 2017. He was also awarded the Latvian MFA Scholarship for Central Asian states. Furthermore, he has an extensive publication record in peer-reviewed journals and comments in local and foreign media on Central Asia. Now, without further ado, I wish to kindly welcome you, Dr. Mukan, and for enlightening us on this particular and very important issue. The virtual floor is yours, sir.
Thank you for the kind introduction. It's my honor to present today's topics agenda. Is it seen, my PPT? Excuse me, is it seen?
You haven't lifted the presentation yet, sir. You may share it now if you want.
Just a second. Just a second.
No worries. Okay, now it's seen, sir.
Okay, great. Just a second. Good day, everyone. I hope you hear me very well. I'm really glad to be with you, to be with the audience, especially the audience for the Southeast Asia. Before that, just in the testing ceremony, I just heard some interesting Southeastern type of the English accent, which also that made me think that we're quite different. That in terms of our kind of the communication style, or or anyway, we have some differences in terms of the language barrier, or any kind of the way of thinking, as I got to know for the previous the conversation. My topic is today, as you see from the program, Geopolitical Competition in Central Asia, Implication for the Middle East, Russia, South Asia, and East Asia. Just in my the speech, I try to actually present my region where I live, and try to have the academically make some kind of conclusion to introduce my region and what kind of the geopolitical interests of the superpowers we have in Central Asia, and how does the Central Asia, as it was said in abstract, that can also give to the other world community their incentives to be as the fully integrated the region. I'm sure that in Southeast Asia, the Central Asia is not so I would say well known or widespread. Still, this is the quite interesting discussion. I hope that it will be very interesting and productive discussion in our the further during my 40 minutes. So if you look at my agenda. Yeah. So just I was thinking how to spend my 14 minutes to be interesting and also to be attractive for the audience. So there are the 6 questions that include, right? Here we see that what is Central Asia? So what does it? How does this region be reflected by international community? What countries does it have does it insist of? What can Central Asia be beneficial for international community to be as one of the kind of the region of the full of the natural resources and the human resources that to be very attractive for international community. Second question is what are the external actors in Central Asia? As Dr. Severe mentioned, also some kind of the countries and regions, and then EU, USA, China, Russia, those kind of superpowers that have the interest in Central Asia. What are the level of the cooperations between these countries, and how do they cooperate in terms of understanding the meaning of cooperations? Besides of the geopolitical interest, but also more than the economic and political strategy towards Central Asia. And next question is what are the implications for the Middle East, right? And how does Middle East how can Middle East be benefited from the Central Asia? And what can Central Asia can give to the Middle East for its not only the competition in terms of the oil and gas revenues, but also for the kind of the soft power benefits and so forth. And the next question is what are the implications for Russia? How can Russia use the Central Asia, and how does Central Asia view Russia? Yeah. And this is the key points of our discussions also today. That of course the Central Asia and Russia relations in terms of today's actually agenda that former Soviet countries, including Central Asian countries, they are more integrated with the world political economy, world political democratization process, and so forth, right? And the next question is, what are the implications for South Asia? So when I say about the South Asia, like not only included not only limited by the Pakistan and India, But besides of the Pakistan, India, and, what are the other actors, especially in Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia, also have cooperations with these Central Asian nations, right? And the last question is what are the implications for East Asia? Here, just I decided to put up to take the Japan and Korea, and how do the Japan and Korea can influence for the Central Asian further implementation of their economic component and so forth, right? So that is kind of my agenda. And that if you have the first questions for the what is Central Asia, I can assure that if you look at my map,
Professor Mukan,
yes.
excuse me.
Yes,
I'm so sorry because your voice is somehow problematic. If you can remove your earphone, would it be possible? Can you do it without earphone so that we may clearly hear your voice?
Okay, now do you hear me very well right now?
Yes.
Do you hear me
Now
very
it's
well?
clear, sir. Now
Very
it's clear.
good.
Right. Thank you
Better.
for the correction. That would be better. Thank you so much. So here I see here that I would like to point out here. Just let me just F5. If you have the if you speak about the Central Asia, right? We see the different points of understanding that the Central Asia is a region in Asia which stretch from the Caspian Sea in the west to China and the Mongolia in the east, and from Afghanistan and Iran in the south to Russia in the north, including the former Soviet republics of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. So just for your audience, if it is so really important to understand what is Central Asia, we can see here that this is the 5 stance countries, right? And this is the former Soviet republics that actually inherited their independence in 1991. So the disintegration of Soviet Union brought such kind of the big empire like a Soviet Union, and of course those kind of struggle for independence. So that was not such kind of struggle for independence. This as a result of as the Soviet Union collapsed, these 5 countries occurred on the world map. So it is also colloquially referred to as the stans, as the countries all have names ending with the Persian suffix stan, meaning land of. So historically, in this land in Central Asia, it used to live different tribes, including Persian tribes, and then the Turkic tribe. Those kind of tribes before the Russians coming to region, the Central Asian region actually was mix of the different tribes that are actually today they construct a national identity, like a Kazakhs, Uzbeks, and Kyrgyz, Turkmen, Tajiks, and you see the stance. This is the Persian suffix, meaning that land of, meaning that in ancient time the Persian tribes also lived in this region. So despite of the fact that Dr. Sevier mentions about here in his introductory words, that of course here that if the Central Asian countries, excluding Tajikistan, all 4 countries are very linked, cultural linked with the Turkey. Yeah. So here with the linguistically, the language is more familiar with the Turkey. To be clear for that, only Tajikistan is the more close with the Iran and of course Persian speaking country. And of course, as a result of the historical kind of the disbalance in this region. So these 5 countries occurred before Soviet Union. Of course, some kind of territorial disputes was solved during the Soviet Union, and still we have today, for example, between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, still we have the territorial disputes, and they're on the way of the settlement and so forth. So this is the introduction. So if I stop to each state today, just a very interesting definition of Central Asia. So if you look at the Soviet definition of Central Asia, the Soviet definition of Central Asia is say that Middle East and Kazakhstan. So in Russian language we call that Средняя Азия, Kazakhstan. So which means that the four small republics of Central Asia and plus Kazakhstan. So in Soviet Union, the Soviet definition was that give the name like a Middle Asian Kazakhstan. So it was kind of the planet economy of USSR's planet economy to divide the Soviet territory into special economic zone. So the special economic zone of my region was called Middle Asian Kazakhstan. Of course, there are reasons for that. So Middle Asia here basically was associated with the agricultural product, with the cotton industry in Uzbekistan, with the meat production in Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and so forth. And Kazakhstan was associated with the actually supplier of the natural resources and so forth. So Kazakhstan was quite different. I mean, you see, Middle Asia and Kazakhstan. So Central Asian region was identified by Soviets as the Middle Asia and Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan was quite differentiated. It was like Kazakhstan was a bridge between Russia and the Central Asian republics as a bridge to access for their resources. So this is about the special economic zone. And we have the US definition for Central Asia. We have very interesting scholar, Frederick Starr. In 1996, he initiated, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, actual Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, as you know, and after 5 years of the independence of the Central Asian republics, the US expert and scholar on Russia and Eurasian region initiated such kind of this concept. The name of the concept is the Greater Central Asia. Greater Central Asia, meaning that the 5 former Soviet republics and plus Afghanistan. So according to Frederick Starr, so Afghanistan needs to be included to the former former Soviet republics in order to integrate Afghanistan to Central Asian republics rather than to the South Asia, right? So here we see the interesting idea by Frederick Starr, saying that Afghanistan is one of those kind of the key country that could be integrated with Central Asia. Because if you look at the ethnical identity of Afghanistan, so besides of the Dari and the Pushtu, who are the main ethnical majority in the country, so there are quite big number of Tajiks, Turkmens, Uzbeks, Kyrgyz, and Kazakhs also living in Afghanistan. So Frederick Starr actually initiated this kind of definition, saying that Greater Central Asia, meaning that the Afghanistan would be better to have a part of Central Asia with the Central Asia. And plus, and the final issue that by Frederick Starr, it was that in 1979 until 1988, the Soviet troops actually entered to Afghanistan to set up socialism in Afghanistan. So about 10 years since the 1971 until 1988, the Soviet troops were fighting for the dominance in Afghanistan Afghanistan to set up the socialism in communism in Afghanistan, but this project was collapsed, as you know, and of course, and the Soviet Union collapsed itself and so forth, right? So here, that of course, the interesting story with the Frederick Starr's definitions that of course, unless the Soviet Union actually could not establish communism and socialism in Afghanistan, then today's independent republic, former Soviet republics, they need to integrate Afghanistan to each country. And of course, with the other kind of historical background, how in 2001, how Taliban movements came to power. I'm sorry, and in 1996, the Taliban came to power, and then 2001, after the 11th September, how the U.S. military troops entered to Afghanistan, and then this is a different story. Then later we'll mention about that. And the third one, modern definition of Central Asia. If you understand and speak about with the modern terminology of Central Asia, this is the Central Asia is the 5 former Soviet republics, excluding Afghanistan. So you can discuss and you can see that the former Soviet republics they identify themselves excluding Afghanistan. Just so for the 5 countries of the former Soviet republics, it is better to have bilateral relations with Afghanistan, and rather than to be as a part of Central Asia, because here we see the cross national interest we have in terms of understanding then how the Western what is the level of the foreign direct investments, the attractiveness, what is the level of democratization process attractiveness from the superpower, is very interesting to have a collaborations of these 5 former Soviet countries. And plus, which is, I will speak that issues that in former Soviet republics, the Central Asian, the political elites are still from the Soviet Communistic Party, and still we will shift on each country to speak about shortly each of them. So in this case, the Kazakhstan. If you look at the next slide, Kazakhstan is most dominant nation of Central Asia, economically generating 60% of the region. So GDP, right? So you see how the Kazakhstan so important for Central Asia in terms of the investment climate for these 4 countries, and plus the labor migrations and the soft power issues and so forth. So this is the statistics shows that of course here that the 60% of the regions makes the Kazakhstan, and primarily through its oil and gas industry, right? As Dr. Sevilla actually mentioned in his introductory speech, that here we see the Caspian Sea here. The Caspian Sea that costed by the Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, and of course here we see that the Kazakhstan is top 12 world's top 12 by oil reserves, and Turkmenistan is top four by the natural gas reserves. So you see here that how it is so important having that the Central Asia and through its oil and gas industry is so important, strategic kind of the key element for the foreign direct investments from the outsiders, from the superpowers. It also has vast mineral resources, and it's officially democratic, secular, unitary constitutional republic with a diverse cultural heritage. So if you look at the Kazakhstan's, actually, if you think about the Kazakhstan's, the proportions of the national and religious identity, you can see that the 70% of the native speakers are Kazakhs, who I am, and 18% are Russians, yeah, and then others are 12%. So Kazakhstan is a multi-ethnic country, which is very interesting story with the Kazakhstan in terms of the rate of the national rate. You see, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, I mean, during the Soviet Union, the local population, Kazakhs were about the 40%, and Russians used to be 39%, 38%. I mean, in Kazakhstan, the proportion rate between Kazakhs and Russians, particularly the same level. So here, that is why the first president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, who today is not on power because he resigned in 2019. But at the same time, he is the head of the National Security Council. And the head of the ruling party in Kazakhstan, the ex-president Nazarbayev declared constitutional that Kazakh language will be state language and Russian language is an official language. You see here the two interesting definitions, state language and the official language, because during the Soviet Union, Kazakh language did not have the state language status. So that kind of Sovietization of Kazakhstan was much more influential rather than other former Soviet countries. That if you compare with the other former Soviet countries, the Kazakhstan is the most Sovietized country among these republics, and even that kind of the Kazakh language exchanges by Russian language, I would say. But of course, Kazakh language used to be used as the language of communication at home, at schools, and so forth. But at governmental level, all kind of the business interactions and communication was in Russian language. So here we see that after getting independence, the Kazakhstan actually increased its own national identity, especially that the status of Kazakh language. But in practice, as I witnessed that, so today, after the 30 years of independence, still language problem is existed, still Kazakh language is not kind of the main language in Kazakhstan in practice, because all governmental communication, education mainly are widespread in Russian language. So this kind of my remark to speak about the Kazakhstan. And the next country, I would say, next country is Uzbekistan. And here is that I would like to point out to the Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan's economy is in gradual transition to the market economy, with foreign policy being based on import substitutions. In September 2017, the country's currency became fully convertible at market rates. Uzbekistan is a major producer of exporter of cotton. I would like to point out the leadership in Uzbekistan. Actually, in 2016, the former president Islam Karimov died. And of course, the political transition after his death actually became quite kind of without any kind of external kind of the interventions, and quite calm. It was kind of transition power, which is interesting story with Uzbekistan. Here, as I mentioned in my slide, only since 2017, the Uzbekistan gradually started to convert to its own national economy to the free market economy. Since 1991 until 2017, the huge years of the gap, the Uzbekistan still became it with the free market economy was not quite expected, even though in this country is very interesting story with the currency exchange. So you cannot freely buy the US dollar. They have this, they call it a черный рынок, meaning that black markets, like you can go to black market, and in black market you can buy US dollar or sell the US dollar to national currency sum. Whereas if you go to the bank, so banks exchange rate to US dollar and the national currency, the rate is quite big, is quite kind of the high. So that is why people are used to go to the black market, so-called black markets, and in black market they negotiate and then buy and sell the US dollar. So this is interesting story with Uzbekistan, how Uzbekistan during the Karimov regime was not ready to or did not have attempts to have the free market economy and so forth. So here we see the after his death, the newly elected president, the Mirziyoyev, that he gradually started to integrate Uzbekistan to country with the but not immediately, gradually. This kind of the situation took place. And with the gigantic power generation facilities from the Soviet era, an ample supply of natural gas, Uzbekistan has become the largest electricity producer in Central Asia. Yes, Uzbekistan is also in the top countries in the world by the gas reserves, and also Uzbekistan is one of those kind of producer of electricity to its neighbors in Central Asia. And last point about Uzbekistan, as we speak about the culture and language and the similarity of the countries to each other in the region, during the Soviet Union, despite of the propaganda of communism, atheism, socialism, and so forth, Uzbekistan and the Tashkent, its capital Tashkent, used to be the center of the Islamic studies. In Islamic studies, that of course basic. And despite of the fact that Uzbekistan and Tashkent are actually associated was associated with the kind of the ancient Silk Road, Silk roads, the routes that also associated with the kind of cultural heritage from the Silk Road, and of course those kind of the Islamic kind of the ancient mosques and temples are still kept, and it was not destroyed by Soviet. So that is very interesting fact about Uzbekistan. And the next country, if you look at the next country is Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan case is totally different from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. If in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan we have still the political elite are still from the Soviet kind of the elite. So in case of Kazakhstan, the president Nazarbayev actually rejected from his power by his free will, but despite of the fact he is very influential person in Kazakhstan, and he is the head of the National Security Council, plus he is the national leader in Kazakhstan. He has the national title in Kazakhstan, and constitutionally it was adopted. His name, the capital of Kazakhstan was renamed because of his name after when he resigned from his power, and those kind of the privileges he had. And in Uzbekistan case was different because of in 2016 the president died. Yeah, I mean died during the 25 years of ruling the country. So but the leadership for Kazakhstan, I mean the leadership for Central Asia is always discussed between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Who will be the leader in terms of that? But if you speak about the Kyrgyzstan, this is a unique, different case. A different case, whereas after independence, Kyrgyzstan was officially a unitary republic, a presidential republic. Then between 2010 and 2021 was officially a unitary parliamentary republic, although it gradually developed an executive president and was governed as a semi-presidential republic before reverting to a presidential system in 2021. So, the Kyrgyzstan is, after getting independence, immediately the former president and first president Askar Akayev announced the situation that the Kyrgyzstan will be island for democracy in Central Asia. And if you think if you think it very carefully and try to concentrate on this kind of the idea, was very interesting to say that the island of democracy in Central Asia. And of course, it sounds funny. It sounds ridiculous. Why? Because the concept of democracy, Western type of democracy, the Central Asian countries actually was not ready to accept the Western values in formal communist regimes. And in case for that, the political regime during the 30 years in Kyrgyzstan, four times it was coup d'etat, it was a revolt, it was different kind of falsifications, the results of the elections, and based on this kind of criteria, because of the nepotism, because of the corruption, because of different kinds of, so Kyrgyzstan's unique case in terms of that tried to have kind of the democratization process, but the results was different. So it was followed by coup d'etat, by revolt and so forth. And which is very interesting stories, those representative or leaders of political elites that was on power, that was society and people actually throw from the power. The Russia and the Belarus actually adopted them as a political refugee in their countries, and the form of those kind of political elite that are I mean, those people who are in exile, right? And so those kind of the people who are in the, no matter who are the names, but political leaderships who are ruling this country, they got some kind of exile in Russia and Belarus. So here we see different case in Kyrgyzstan's case rather than in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. So Kazakhstan's case is different, and Uzbekistan case is different. Here is because of the death of the presidents and so forth. Kyrgyzstan, the case of the democratization process was actually a different case took place. So throughout its existence, the country has continued to endure ethnic conflicts, revolt, economic troubles, and transitional governments and political conflicts. So here we see interesting case that, of course, majority. So Kyrgyzstan's labor migrants are located mostly in Russia, and some of them in Kazakhstan. So here that is this Kyrgyzstan today is dependent on the foreign donors, foreign aid, and the very interesting story with the Kyrgyzstan. The civil society is strongly represented in this country. So the next country is the Tajikistan. became an independent Soviet nation as the Soviet disintegrated. Very hard situations. It was like a civil war in this country. And it was fought almost immediately after independence, lasting from 1992 and 1997. Since the end of the war, a newly established political stability and foreign aid have allowed the country's economy to grow. So after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Tajikistan, as other former Central Asian republic, was not ready to be independent state. Let us speak more realistic language, right? So in this case, in Tajikistan, it was kind of the clan struggle for power. Southeast, capital cities, and because of the struggle for the power and those kind of radical Islamists who are more close to the Afghan factors and more. So here we see bordering with Afghanistan, also that kind of factor influenced for the understanding that the civil war took place in Tajikistan. And of course, here this is kind of the radicalization of the young population in this country. And it brought to the civil war because of the southeast, east, and west, and it was ended in 1997, and the treaty was signed in 1997. And today, still the Tajikistan is suffering from the economic especially COVID-19's consequences, and the statistics shows that the labor migrants in Tajiks labor migrants are mostly located in Moscow, in Petersburg, in Russia, and then you can see in Russia many Kyrgyz and the Tajiks labor market and Uzbek labor markets. So migrants. Yeah. So we see this kind of how Tajikistan was transformed into independent state and so forth, with this kind of difficulties as a civil war. And the last country, finally, last country in the region is Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan possesses the world's fourth largest reserve of natural gas, as I mentioned before. Most of the country is covered by the Karakum or black sand desert. So country is located more desert country. From 1993 to 2017, citizens received government-provided electricity, water, and natural gas free of charge. Can you imagine? During this period of time, Turkmenistan citizens consumed the natural gas, electricity, water by free of charge. So can you imagine? I mean, this is for Central Asian nations and for Central Asian nomadic people. Our Asian culture is nomadism, actually. Yeah, I mean, for the Central Asian nations as Turkmens, this is kind of the wealth of kind of the good privileges for the country. But in 2017, of course, they changed this policy and then started to be actually the sell to its own nations. I mean, as a consumer and so forth. So the country is widely criticized for its poor human rights. Notable issues were its treatment for minorities, press freedoms, and religious freedoms. After its independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, the sovereign state of Turkmenistan has been ruled by two repressive totalitarian regimes. Turkmenistan also, as one of those kind of countries that was not ready to be independent. Let me say in that language, the Sapar Murat Niyazov, those kind of president who started actually run the country, and unfortunately this president died in 2006. And then newly elected president, the elected, and then when I say by two repressive totalitarian regimes, meaning that both president who runs the country, they have very totalitarian way of ruling the country. So if you you cannot find many data about Turkmenistan from the official international sources. Turkmenistan declared its state as a neutral state, like a Swiss model of neutrality in Central Asia, and adopted that by the United Nations. So here you see, you can understand here that the Turkmenistan is mostly associated with the many the authoritarian regimes in the world. So as a matter of fact, so you cannot find many data about Turkmenistan, about the data, even though is it the level of trust of GDP level, the level of the human rights index perception, democratization index. So it needs to be for score to be rechecked and and double checked, because in many cases government provided the data are not coincided with international foreign the data. So even though you cannot find them actually in many cases, so that is the case in Turkmenistan case for that. So the next one that I would like to say, that what are the external actors in Central Asia? And who are they? Yes, I mean, why does it matter? Why do we call that the external actors in Central Asia? So why do we call them as the main consumers for the with the foreign direct investments, and plus with its geopolitical interests? So I would say, and the many kind of experts on Central Asia divide here that is the four actors. Actually, the four actors is really important to mention for that. So Dr. Sivida actually mentions about Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan, India, and so forth. I will not stop on that. Maybe I will stop on the question sections. But basically, why? Because here we see the most important activity for what? The most important activity here, that what is the level of attracting the foreign investment from these four mentioned, the Russia, China, EU, and USA. For all five countries of former Soviet republics, Central Asian republics, was much more important to attract the foreign direct investments, because you see transformation from the, of course, the successful case it became with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. Of course, Tajikistan situations is quite questionable, because until 1997 it was kind of civil war, and of course the trust of foreign direct investment to invest to this country was quite a kind of the quite debatable. It was quite debate. And of course, foreign direct investment actually was basically to Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Kyrgyzstan here. Uzbekistan and Tajikistan was kind of the secondary level, even though the Turkmenistan actually, if you look at the Turkmenistan's national economy structures, you can see that the monopoly of the Russian Gazprom, national the oil and gas company that from Russia that has a monopoly in Turkmenistan, that they are drilling the gas in Turkmenistan, and then they're reselling to Europe, as the Russian gas, which interesting political economy of the energy resources here with the Russia and the Turkmenistan gas pipeline issues and so forth. So this is so my idea is that as soon as the five countries became independent, they started to attract the foreign direct investment mainly from these four actors. So Russia, the first point is Russia. So of course the Russia is the main how can I say, is the main external actor in Central Asia. There are many issues we have that historical linking with the Russian influence to Central Asia, right? So there are many issues which is have the personal relations between the former president the Yeltsin and the today's president Putin. So that this is because all these kind of the five countries, the leaders, they have from the communistic party regimes, they are friends, they are, you know, kind of, they have the same political mentality, they have the same political view, and all they are from the communistic school. And of course, those kind of the factors, this kind of personal relations linked them to be very good with them. Right, so this kind of factors influence for that. So Russia is the #1 external actor that are influencing to all sphere of social life in these five countries, starting with the language. Yeah, because still they have the Russian minorities living in these five countries, and the status of Russian language, and criticizing, saying that, oh, you are violating Russian minority in these countries, and this kind of things are very debated, and this is kind of the saying that, oh, just this is the kind of the sensitive topic for Russia, for Putin, and so forth. And the Central Asian the leaders are trying to not to violate, and but you know, society is different, national identity is a resurgence is coming though. So language, religion is resurgence, and the people are different rather than it was 30 years ago, and so forth and so forth. National identity is becoming so, and sometimes it comes to this kind of the conflict issues and so forth. And Russian MFA spokesperson is speaking, is criticizing the authorities of Central Asian countries. So, and then it is calmed down, and then it goes in everyday life and so forth. So that kind of issues for that. So the second actor is China. First, if you start to have a survey inside of the Central Asian populations, you can witness that the level of xenophobia in Central Asia is very big, very high. This is a very important concept. Maybe maybe I'm sure, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can correct me. The Chinese factor in Southeast Asia, yeah, this is the quite big influential for that. Yeah, maybe much more. But in Central Asia, the level of xenophobia and the survey statistics shows that it's very high. So, so what did Central Asian republics leadership do? Yeah, what did they do? The partnerships with China only based on the partnership agreements, more economic development, more economic component. So for example, in Kazakhstan, you can see that in those kind of regions that you see here, that the close to the Caspian Sea. So we see that the Chinese CNPC. Chinese CNPC is having drilling the oil. I mean, what I would like to say that the Kazakhstan-China relations are based on the kind of mutual beneficial for the economic benefits. And of course, Kazakh government also sold some part of the based on the joint venture contract and joint venture contract and the PSA contract in the western part of Kazakhstan of their oil reservoirs. So sometimes it comes with the labor conflicts between the payment gaps between the local Kazakhs and the foreign Chinese, and then in most cases this kind of conflict goes to the very kind of large scale conflict, and then local government tries to make it down. Here are different stories about how Chinese investors to Kyrgyzstan, to Uzbekistan, to Turkmenistan has different approach of understanding that what are the benefit how they are benefiting. Of course, the benefiting is the pipeline projects that coming from the Western Kazakhstan to the Western China, and of course more Uyghur populated nations there, and of course here that of course the internal problem issues in China, and of course Kazakhstan doesn't interfere into the so-called concentration camp inside of the China and so forth, because since the Kazakhstan got independence, here the Kazakh and Chinese leadership came to conclusion that they never will not interfere into home affairs to each other, unless in terms of with Russia. So we have also the level of the Russia's influence to Kazakhstan and other kind of the other Central Asian nations are quite similar, rather than Chinese factor in Central Asia. So again, I would like to say that the surveys made by the Western non-governmental organizations, and they say that the level of the xenophobia in all 5 countries, not only Kazakhstan, in all 5 countries, increasing. So this is a very interesting factor for that, despite of the fact that, of course, we have visa regime, we have the economic partnership agreements, and based on that, but nothing, something that both countries are intervening to each other. So this is So the third actor is EU. So first of all, EU is when it comes with EU, we need to mention one very important topic. Since the Central Asian countries became independent, and President Nazarbayev, the president of Kazakhstan, they initiated this Central Asian Union. So Central Asian Union, all these 5 countries that the model of the EU, I mean, of course it was like a populism. It was kind of the popular idea in that period of time. Let's unite, the unification strategy. We have same language, same religion. We have the different economic the types of the different economic types that we can help each other, and so forth. But of course, the questions came on that kind of agenda, came to that, who will be leader? So Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan? So here that the kind of personal kind of disagreement still Uzbek's official did not give the kind of the power to Kazakh side to be leader in Central Asian region, because if you look at by population, the Uzbek's population is much more higher than Kazakh population, because in Kazakhstan we have, because of the lots of ethnic minorities, it leaves. So, and then they migrated to Russia, to US, to Germany, to Israel, to Korea, and of course this kind of, because of the migration, the population started to decrease. But now today is becoming more higher, because the ethnic Kazakh becoming so big and so forth. So why do I say this? I say this that all these 4 actors, neither Russia, China, EU, USA, many experts come to conclusion that that all of these four actors don't want see Central Asia as united. So from the integration theory, from the geopolitical theoretical framework, you can understand that, of course, here that these superpowers don't want to be united Central Asia, don't want to be, so for them, bilateral relation is much more kind of the beneficial, and in this kind of strategy that here we can help with the good governance, with the democratization, with the foreign direct investments, and promising different kind of big kind of mountains and so forth. But the experts in all 5 countries in Central Asia, they come to conclusion the first factor that if the Central Asian Union will be union, who will be leader? So Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, so it will be competition for the power. So that's why they rejected from this idea. The second one is that the Russia, China, EU, USA don't see the union. Of course, they have the program. Of course, they have special programs for the kind of the for the region, particular, and so forth. But at the political level, all political level, these four the actors don't want to see Central Asia as a united union. So this is the very important to mention right now. So. So here we see that USA and EU, basically, you understand right here that the EU and USA want to have particular the kind of the, like, of course, this is sovereign independent states. They are kind of the sovereign independent states. They are just, yeah, I mean, they're coming to the region, EU and USA. Of course, they speak about the democracy. They speak about kind of the those kind of the economic projects that Russia and China don't propose. So here we see the kind of geopolitical competition for the region, saying that the how it is so important to keep balance yes, in the regions neighboring Russia and China. Whereas the USA and EU, actually, here we have very interesting, so each of them has an extent of geopolitical intervention so far. So each 4 actors are saying for that. So when I speak about the Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan, India, the level of cooperation, the level of implications for that, it is at least all these 5 Central Asian countries do not accept them, like Iran, Turkey, India, and Pakistan. I mean, well, not if I say do not accept totally as a superpower, it will be wrong, maybe. But the priority is given to these 4 actors. So with the Turkey and Iran, this is the mainly cultural links for that. But in Pakistan, India, and this is the we have next in the further slides, I will show you what is the main interest between Central Asia and and India and Pakistan too. So so the next question. We have what are the implications for Middle East? Yeah, you see here the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 theses. We have first of all for the Middle East, this is the culture. So when we say about the culture, of course, because of the religion, this is important to mention. Why? The former Soviet Central Asian republics, they actually they were out of the practicing Islam, because communism and socialism prohibited practicing Islam in these 5 countries. And of course, Middle East, of especially Turkey and the Arab countries, became like kind of the became the inspire for the religious resurgence for these 5 countries. So here we see the interesting point linking for that. So in interactions between Central Asia and the Middle East, basically we see here the culturally and based on culture, we see I identify this as Islamic religion. And of course, if you speak about the Islam, here we can see the strong directions. So none of the 5 republics in Central Asia are Shiites. So this is despite of the fact that the Iran and Tajikistan have a very Persian speaking links. The Tajikistan is totally Sunni state, but of course they have different. In Tajikistan, they have another minority, name it as minorities, but not totally Shiite as it is in Iran. So. So we see here that the interesting idea about the implications for Middle East, right? I mean, the connection here, this is culture. And second one is trade partnerships. We need to understand that, of course, the Turkey and Iran actually, and other kind of UAE and other kind of the Middle Eastern countries started to invest to the Central Asian economy. So, for example, in Astana, the former capital of former name of the Kazakhstan capital today is name it as Nur Sultan, and of course here we see that the foreign direct investments in building the capital, and of course this is the kind of foreign direct investment from the Middle Eastern countries to build the capital, right? So we see the Central Asia trade, the Central Asia-Turkey relations. We see the interesting story of understanding that what is the soft power of Turkey in Central Asia. You need, of course, all of us knows about the Ottoman Empire and Russian empires, the competition for the geopolitical interests and wars, especially for Crimea, for the Balkan states, and for other kind of regions, so forth. So independence of the Central Asian republics gave the Turkey like an open door policy to immediately come and starting to spread its idea of understanding how it is so important to be that the changing the roles and making the bridge between the Central Asian countries and the Turkey. So this was one of the key elements for the coming the Turkish investment, Turkish education, Turkish kind of the art industry to Central Asian Republic. So this is the very important issue. And the next point is energy factor with Middle Eastern region, partnership or competition. So here we can see, is this partnership or competition? Competition for the supplying the oil and the gas to world market, because majority of the Middle Eastern countries are the OPEC members, right? So are these OPEC members, are they really having, like, are they really kind of compete with the Central Asian republics, especially with the Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, to supply the oil and gas to international market? So here this question is, the question is kind of the, under the question is still left. I mean, still is not solved. I mean, the question is not replied or answered yet, because the main priority of the, if we speak about the pipeline projects, especially the that the dependency of Central Asian republics to pipeline projects, pipeline that are going through the Russian territory to the Baku, Tbilisi, Jihan via the Caucasus countries, right? So so here we see the transportations of the natural resources is becoming so costly, expensive. Like So here we see the different stories of understanding how it is important to keep balance of the in the Middle East. So here we see that the because Middle East Middle Eastern countries has the Middle Eastern countries has the permanent clients, right? Permanent clients to whom they supply. They will supply to European Union countries, they will supply to United States of America and so forth. But in terms of the Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, basically they supply to China, and here we see the pipeline diplomacy that diversification of pipeline diplomacy brings to different actors, especially to China, and then here to India and Pakistan. So here we see the interesting idea of understanding, again, my thesis about that the Middle Eastern countries, they have a permanent, to whom they would be supplying, to whom they would be able to supplying, and they have the permanent contract with their partners to supply the oil. And for Central Asian republics, it is a little bit problematic. It is because of the some kind of the circumstances that are influencing for these five countries, because these all of these five Central Asian republics, they are landlocked countries. So being not to be favored in terms of being landlocked, the region, so it makes this region to sell and logistical kind of the pipeline projects will be more costly for this issue. So I would say, I would underline that in Central Asian regions about energy fact, they have its own problem, and in Middle East they have own problems. So there are, it's not comparable factors. Now this is the more about the maybe more about the logistical, more about the geographical, I would say like that. And the last point, multilateral diplomacy, Organization for Islamic Cooperations. Well, all of these five countries are the member of the Organization for Islamic Cooperations. Of course, this kind of the membership for the Organization for Islamic Cooperation, that are majority of the Middle Eastern countries are the members. So for these five countries are the very kind of the influential instrument to be I would say to be kind of the self-realization of its foreign policy, right? So the foreign policy of these five countries, of Central Asian countries, directed to identify that, oh yes, majority of our populations are Muslims, so we need to be integrated with to be member of the Organization for Islamic Cooperations. So kind of the identity is anyway, Central Asian republics are Muslims, so it means that still we need to implement our multilateral diplomacy too, and so forth. Those kind of factors influence. So the next slide, I would say, next slide, what are the implications for Russia? So I would be very quickly here because it is quite clear. We have post-Soviet heritage. It is clear in terms of that the all five former Soviet countries, they are former Soviet countries, meaning that the education, language, and mostly kind of the all soft power issues are located in the region and so forth. Russian minority in the region. See, in all five countries, we have the Russian minority. So the Russians are mostly located in Kazakhstan. So which means in Kazakhstan, the even in constitutional Kazakh language is a Russian language. I am sorry. I'm sorry, constitutionally, the Russian language is official language. And of course, in Kyrgyzstan, also the Russian language, official language. But if you see in Turkmenistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, the status of Russian language is not adopted by constitution. They have the language only based on the intercommunication, interethnical communication, but not on the governmental level. The concept of Ruski Mir, or this is the English translation, Russian world in the region. So what does it mean? It means that the Putin, Kremlin and Putin actually is sensitive about the violation of Russians in the region. Yeah, there are many cases about the language problems that are taking place in the conflict taking place in all Central Asian republics. Of course, public opinion perception is different, and mass media is in many cases mass media is violating the truth. I would say so, because the concept of Ruski Mir, especially after the Crimea annexation and the violation of Russian minority in Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia in former Soviet republics, also becoming so important. So this kind of the Ruski Mir and the protecting the Russians out of the Russia is becoming so important, and it becoming so influential as a very simple soft power in Central Asia. That is the kind of the a very key element to influence for Central Asian republics. And the next point is that the Eurasian Economic Union. As you know, that of course these 5 countries are integrated in 2015 Eurasian Economic Union, which means that based on the agreements between the 5 countries, they initiated to unite based on economic cooperations, and this economic cooperation made them to open their policy, open their door for the trade partnerships. As a Kazakhstani citizens, I would say one very interesting story. From this union benefits Russia and Belarus. Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Armenia do not benefit for that, because after the Crimea annexation in 2014, the expert community in Kazakhstan started to raise the questions. We don't need this union, because the sanction policy against Russia will be increased, and immediately next day these sanctions will influence to us. So the problem is that in all 5 Central Asian countries, the expert community, they have their own world, and decision makers, they have their own worlds. It means that they do not correlate to each other. That is the truth. Of course, after the Crimea annexations, the sanction policy immediately influenced all Eurasian Economic Union, the countries. So and we live in such kind of actually it was this union was initiated by Nursultan Nazarbayev, the former Kazakhstan president, when he declared in 1994 in Moscow, in Lomonosov Moscow State University, when he initiated this project. So you see, since the 1994 till 2015, it was still discussed, but in practice, it was involved in 2015. And next point is CSTO, Collective Security Treaty Organization. This is the politically military organization. You see the members here. So you see, it is kind of the military treaty organization. It's not Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It's a little bit different from Shanghai Cooperation organizations. So here we see the importance of how Russia is dominant in terms of the ally. So Article number 5 declares that non-members of this organization, of these members who attacks. So then all of these members are obliged to protect from outside, protect them. Uzbekistan left in 2006. So Uzbekistan, very interesting foreign policy in these issues. So during the Islam Karimov period of time, in many cases where the Russia is included, so Karimov always rejected. So for Karimov regime, for Uzbekistan, it was much more important to have a bilateral relations rather than working in the multilateral relations. So this was kind of the very interesting and surprising for expert community that Uzbekistan left in 2006. And then we have the next slide about the South Asia. Remember, I promised to show you about the pipelines, what is the incentives for South Asia that implication, Central Asia implication for South Asia. So we see TAPI pipeline projects, also known as Trans-Afghanistan Pipeline, is a natural gas pipeline being developed by the Kalkanish-Tapi Pipeline Company Limited with participation of the Asian Development Bank. Kalkanish, this is the company in Turkmenistan. The pipeline will transport natural gas from the Kalkanish gas field in Turkmenistan through Afghanistan into Pakistan and then to India. Construction of the project started in Turkmenistan on 13 December 2015. Work on the Afghan section began in February 2018, and the work on the Pakistani section was planned to commence in December 2018. So that is the key point of my presentation for that. So here you see the map, right? And here you see the very interesting pipeline project TAPI, meaning that the Turkmen gas goes to the Pakistan, India, and the Pakistan, India is a supplier, and they're ready to use the to buy the Turkmen's gas. This is the quite cheap gas, because yeah, it's quite cheap gas. This is true, but the problem you see different. The problem is different. The problem is Afghanistan. So when the recent development in Afghanistan that was taking place in at the middle of the August, you see that the questions come: what is the future of this pipeline? How will Taliban regime be kind of integrated with this What is the security aspects? What is the guarantee that the pipeline will not be bombed or whatever happened on the territory of Afghanistan? So if you look at the sentence, right, you see that it was actually started, construction started actually in 2015. And of course, here you see that the Afghan section actually started in 2018. And of course, when this project started to be constructed, of course, in those period of time, the Ashraf Ghani, the former Afghan president, actually guaranteed that everything will be okay. So those kind of questions, geopolitically, we see very kind of the vague, unclear situations with Afghanistan, how to access our kind of pipeline project to India and Pakistan, because the India and Pakistan are one of the main kind of the buyer of the Turkmen's gas and so forth. So this is a very still the questions under still the expert community, especially energy community, did not find the reply, because still everybody are waiting what is the level of trust to cooperate with the Taliban regime, and then the other kind of technical stuff will continue. So, and the last my slides is that what are the implications for East Asia? Yeah, so here we see that the importance of activity that when we speak about the East Asia, and of course we speak about the Japan and Korea. The Japan is the Central Asia partnerships. We see Kazakhstan rejected from nuclear weapon inherited from the USSR arsenal. Japan is investing for this industry to utilize it. So as everybody knows that the Japan also suffered from the nuclear weapons in its history. And of course, the Kazakhstan is those countries that by free will rejected from the owning the nuclear weapon inside in its country. So immediately the situations started to be kind of the Japan invested the foreign direct investments to utilize it. So utilization process took quite a long time, and plus the Kazakhstan got example of the Japanese experience how to utilize that. So of course we understand and we know that the all the nuclear weapons that took place in that used to be in Kazakhstan, they removed to Russia. So Russia, as the permanent security member of the UN permanent security member, of course, also the ability to take into its side, and that was kind of the Kazakhstan leaders immediately after getting rejected from the nuclear weapons arsenal. And Korea. Korea Central Asia partnerships, the Korean diaspora in Central Asia inherited by Stalin's resettlement from the Far East during the World War II. So in all 5 countries, we have the Korean diaspora, like a Korean ethnic minorities. Actually, they settled by Stalin during the Second World War from the Far East of Russia, actually because Stalin accused them or suspected them that they are spies and they are kind of the helping for the Japanese kind of the troops and so forth. So those kind of the Koreans who used to live in Far East of Russian territory, the Stalin resettled them into the Central Asia. So basically, between the South Korea and Central Asian Republic, this kind of bridge that the Koreans have kind of soft power in Central Asia, and of course the Korean Central Asian partnership are going based on this criteria. And last point, I would say that the Singapore Central Asian partners, by the way, among the Southeastern Asian countries, the Central Asian Southeastern Asian countries, the most have the dynamic relation with Singapore and Malaysia. This is to have a reason. So you know, as this is the Southeast Asian audience, this is very important to mention about Lee Kuan Yew, founder of Singapore. You know, after the case of Kazakhstan was very different, was very interesting actually, because after getting independence, it was like a 5 Asian tigers. They call that Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, and Taiwan and Malaysia, I think, yeah. South Korea, Taiwan, the Singapore, Malaysia. Yeah, I don't remember the last one, but the question is that the Kazakhstan leaderships started to say that Kazakhstan will be Central Asian leopard. Yeah, like the tigers and leopard. I mean, saying that, of course, if you ask the question why, then because of the Lee Kuan Yew. Like Lee Kuan Yew was able to set up such kind of the Asian democracy in Singapore. And of course, the Kazakhstan also will be kind of the Central Asian leopard, the prototype of Lee Kuan Yew's reforms policy that implement in Kazakhstan. And it was successful in Kazakhstan. So it is like e-governments, and this is the public administration reforms. So that implement, and it's working successful. Of course, still Kazakhstan is fighting for the corruption cases, for the corruption level, corruption index perception is still high, and this is still the problem for all Central Asian republics. But the question is here that the kind of the Lee Kuan Yew for Kazakhstan was kind of the model for the motivation to saying that yes, look at this kind of person, look at this kind of the person who presented his relatives to prison because his kind of the relatives corrupted and so forth. And of course, it was kind of the implemented in Kazakhstan when the kind of the President Nazarbayev started to also to do with his kind of the relatives and so forth. And then just very kind of the interesting kind of the rumors, kind of funny stories were taking place. But basically, I would say that among the Southeastern Asians, the Singapore and Malaysia was kind of the key element for Central Asian as a model of Central, especially as I said before, kind of like I saying that Kazakhstan will be by 2030, Kazakhstan will be Central Asian leopard. Yeah, I mean the kind of another type of the animal of a tiger and so forth, which is kind of had a very good wishes to be prosperity and so forth. So of course, time by time, you understand that this kind of fact was disappeared and so forth. So that was my last slide, and that I would like to conclude is that that Central Asian republics ready for open market integration? I would say yes. So currently, after 30 years of independence, today the gradual changing political reforms, especially the COVID-19, actually showed that the Central Asia actually brought brought kind of the understanding of how important to be ready for the free market economy. What about the national interest? Of course, all 5 countries of the regions, they're protecting their national interest, and today we see that. So if you look at if you compare with these issues, we call that the Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan are successful in these issues. Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan are still influenced by the geopolitical interests of foreign actors to implement their national interest. That is the vision very clearly in all aspects of our social life. We have the independence, yes, but still we have the notion of independence. Are they ready? Yes, the gradual integration to the free market economy makes here that the Kazakhstan, I would say, is more successful in terms of its potential and the free market economy and so forth. The other cases of the countries, they have the gradual and they makes them the bureaucratic procedure and so forth. So because of the high rate of corruption inside of the Kazakhstan too. And yes, and that is the good things. And of course, Afghan agenda is still on the agenda. is the what I would like to conclude, that the Afghan case is that the all Central Asian republics are the kind of the waiting for the United Nations, the General Assemblies, the resolutions, and how to deal with the Taliban regimes, and then after that they will start to have the official kind of the contacts. But I would say that Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan's not Tajikistan, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan's actually representatives actually met with the Afghans officials, and they started to collaborate based on with the humanitarian aid to Afghan people and so forth. Thank you for your attentions. I hope that I did not. I hope that I could do as much as possible. That I would probably the internet connection was quite well. Let me finish with this point today. And if you haven't, thank you for your patience for firstly and attention. And I'm ready for questions and remarks. Please feel free. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mukan, for that comprehensive and illuminating discussion, of course. Now, I just wanted to mention that this section is part of the Asian Center's 66th anniversary celebration this November. And please visit www.ac.upd.edu.ph for details and follow the Facebook page or join the mailing list. Now, for the next section, I wish to proceed directly now to the reaction section. I wish to call on Mr. Gabriel Honrada of the People's Friendship University of Russia, followed by Professor Ninfa Caballero, who is from the College of Administration, Bukidnon State University. Mr. Honrada, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody in the Philippines. So thank you, Professor Mukan, for your comprehensive, very comprehensive presentation. So I would like to add on to the points that you've mentioned and also reflect on some of the points that our Dean, Professor Sevilla, has mentioned in his opening remarks. So I want to contextualize my reaction on Central Asia and regional integration or regional cooperation. So I would say that Central Asia, in terms of regional organizations, it plays an integrative role and a critical role in a greater Eurasia region via the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So what is a Greater Eurasia? It is a continental geopolitical vision, and it promotes political and economic cooperation between states from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. You can contrast this with the US Free and Open Indo-Pacific, which is a maritime concept. So you have maritime concept with free and open Indo-Pacific, and you have continental concept, which is Greater Eurasia. So from that, I would like to briefly explain the dynamics or add on to what Professor Mukan said with the importance of Central Asia, SCO, and to key regional players. So to begin with, Central Asia, SCO, and Russia. So the SCO is one of Russia's means to maintain its influence over Central Asia, which I would argue is being contested by China. They have their own set of rivalries. SCO membership gives Russia leverage in utilizing Central Asian states as a buffer zone and an area of cooperation with China. Also, now let's move on to China now. So China, of course, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the name says it all. SCO is China's pet project in terms of regionalism, in terms of establishing international institutions, and in a larger scale, becoming an international rules maker as compared to the United States and its Bretton Woods organizations. We have China and the SCO in their own version of trying to make the rules the rules. So SCO and Central Asia, I think this is quite an important view, and we can extrapolate the Philippine situation from this. So the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it provides a sense of legitimacy and international recognition to Central Asian political elites, same as ASEAN and the Philippines. One thing in common that Central Asian states and ASEAN states have is that their political elites do not have complete legitimacy over their populations. That's why you have separatist movements, Islamist movements, communist insurgencies, and so on. These are weak states. The authority of the central government is not very strong. So that's why the SCO is there to provide a sense of international recognition, a sense of legitimacy for these political elites, and at the same time, the backing of great powers to these political elites. For Central Asia, it is Russia and China who backs these elites. For ASEAN and the Philippines, it's the United States. So for Iran, the SCO's membership, Iran's membership in the SCO, it's its first political triumph, I would say, since 1979. It's the first major international organization that it has joined, I would say, because nobody wants to be associated with Iran in case Iran hostilities break out with Iran in the wider Middle East. And also SCO membership helps Iran avoid economic and diplomatic isolation. And moving on to India, SCO can possibly extend India's access to Central Asian markets and resources, as India's only access to Central Asia is through Iran or Pakistan, which are both SCO members. And also, interestingly, SCO offers a possible area of security cooperation between India, Pakistan, and China. In this way, the traditional hostilities between these countries are offset while India can attend to its domestic situation, development concerns. And importance to Pakistan as well, SCO enables Pakistan to increase its strategic importance as a gateway for Central Asian energy, as seen in the pipeline slide of Professor Mukan, by providing either a connection between Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, or from Pakistan to the port of Gwadar to maritime Southeast Asia and China. And it's also an attempt to, SCO is also an attempt by Pakistan to thwart attempts against diplomatic isolation, and notably, Pakistan's membership in the SCO is backed by China. And for India, Russia is the main supporter of SCO membership. And for Southeast Asia, I think this is the important part. The SCO, in which Central Asian states are members, it validates Southeast Asia or ASEAN's concept of regionalism, which aims to strengthen rather than erode state sovereignty as compared to the EU. You can see ASEAN's norms: non-intervention, respect for sovereignty, consultation and consensus. These are also reflected in the SCO, which is a much younger organization than ASEAN. And you can see that through these norms, state centrality and authority is reinforced rather than eroded as compared with the EU with common borders, common foreign policy, etc. Although the main difference is the SCO addresses threats to regime security, I would say, from a security perspective. ASEAN addresses threats to regime security through an economic and development perspective. And to tie everything all, to reflect some of the statements our Professor Sevilla said, I would say Central Asia is at the hub of common security in an increasingly integrated Eurasia region. So what is common security? Common security, to sum up the idea of common security, it means nobody is secure unless everybody is secure. That is opposed to collective security, which means an attack on one is an attack on all. So the proof of this increasing integration is you can see the multiple projects in Eurasia region, such as One Belt, One Road project, Silk Road, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Eurasia Economic Union, and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. These projects will all coalesce or merge together to form a maturing Eurasian economic network. However, we can say that regional integration, it brings its own security challenges such as terrorism, illegal migration, cybersecurity, energy security, environment security, so on and so forth. That said, I would like to end my synthesis with the question, will Eurasian states and Southeast Asian countries be mature enough to discard this confrontational Cold War mentality and compartmentalize traditional rivalries and disputes in the pursuit of cooperation for common security? So one good example of this is that even if Pakistan, India, and Pakistan, India, Central Asian states, and China have their own disputes, they still cooperate on shared security issues. This is a sign of, I say, maturing foreign policy. My question is, can other countries do the same? Can other countries like the Philippines be mature enough to have this sort of flexible foreign policy? That would be all for my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Honrada. And I wish to call on Professor Ninfa Caballero, the College of Administration, Bukidnon State University, to give her reaction. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, sir. Allow me to greet everyone in our dialect in Bukidnon. Mayadha mahapon inyo alan. In English, good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me start with my reflection in the context of our current global situation that COVID-19 continues to spread across the world with a known projection as to when it would end. Financial crises occur and many nations struggle with their economy, which in turn, as others put it, it will inspire the rise of nationalism. In reverse, it may trigger a financial revolution or economic bubble. This might upset the refugees and migrants who may end up as involuntary immigrants in countries that are already experiencing high unemployment and ethnic tensions and coalitions as well. For the energy factor, many nations desires to increase the country's oil and gas reserves. That may become a dilemma if this would lead to partnership or competition. I like what our honorable speaker, Dr. Saken Mukan, mentioned about Kazakhstan as a dominant nation of oil and gas reserves of Central Asia is already officially a democratic country, an evidence that political leaders are committed to social and economic interest and governance reform, and that Turkmenistan also being criticized of its poor human rights. It is noteworthy that its government provided free use of electricity, water, and natural gas for its constituents. And we heard also success stories of transformation of governance in each of these countries in Central Asia, from political isolation to unestablished political stability, as well as some foreign aid that allow the country's economy to grow. Researchers, in fact, are also coming in, as mentioned, to Central Asia and has helped in its economic advancement. Although the good speaker has mentioned about some refutation of the idea that Central Asia could not become a united nation. This now leads me to 2 points of clarification, Dr. Saken Mukan. First, how the Central Asia is doing or planning for the energy requirement for the next 5 to 10 years. And my second question, is there a possibility that a war might break out due to competition for energy sources? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Ms. Caballero, Professor Caballero, for that reaction. And for this particular point in time, I wish to divert your attention to the question and answer portion of this particular program. Dr. Mukan, we have a few questions here. We actually have a lot of questions, and I'm trying to consolidate them, for the purpose of time, of course. And we'd be happy to hear your remarks regarding these questions. Now, the first question is, why is China and groups such as the Taliban, for example, very interested in projecting power in Central Asia? Furthermore, how significant is China's Belt and Road Initiative to the political sphere of Central Asia? Now, there was an extended question asking, would there be a possibility of a form of military alliance between China and Central Asian republics? Would you like to answer that question, sir?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, the interesting questions and the questions that is today is asked every time. In my point of view, the Taliban movement is there is no linking with the Taliban's and Chinese factor for the Central Asians, the influence. The problem is here that if you start with the Taliban, I mean, it's close to my region. Here, the thing is, the Taliban movement of 2001 and 2021 are two different type of the Talibans. We need to mention this one, the first one. The case for that, if you speak about Afghanistan as a state, you need to understand that this used to be the buffer zone between Russian Empire and the British Empire, and of course the Afghan nation has never been kind of occupied by both of them. So here we see those kind of the ideological vacuum that as a result of the collapse of Soviet Union, the all attention went to the Afghanistan. Actually, those kind of vacuum radicalizations and those kind of the negative aspects of the Islam itself, right? So this is really important to mention for that. So, so I mentioned that some of the countries had the unofficial the contacts with Taliban movement. This was kind of the preliminary only for the humanitarian aid, because Central Asian republics understand and aware about the refugee kind of the slide for that who are not willing to stay in Afghanistan. Then refugee will flow to the all Central Asian republic. And to keep these issues, just Central Asian republics tries to maintain with humanitarian aid. That, I mean, what I know that with the officials, this about the Chinese factor is quite different. About the Chinese factor, this is more about the change in the role of Russia, limiting the Russian role in Central Asia, and of course starting with economic projects, with the pipeline projects. So here we have the and a plus we have in the Western China we have the problem with the so-called existence of concentration camps, and where the Islamic Muslim populations are located there, and of course believe me, no any Central Asian republics interfere. No, because among them local Kazakhs who are citizens of China that are located, and they are not, because they don't interfere to. So interference will bring the more problem for the poor leadership of the Central Asian republics with the problem of regime. That is my answer. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you, Dr. Mukan. Now we can go to the next question. Is how can you describe, these are economic and political questions, how can you describe the economic relations of Central Asian states with Russia? For example, how are Central Asian states dealing with Russia's perceived irredentist behavior of late? What is the region's prevailing view towards the issue in Ukraine, for example, vis-a-vis Crimea? So how do these things reflect the political economic dimension of Central Asia-Russian relations?
Thank you so much for the question. This is related, especially for Kazakhstan case. I just want to give one example. Then the person who asked it will understand this immediately. One very practical case. I remember I mentioned about the implementations of Singapore e-governance and the public administration reforms to Kazakhstan's case, and then it goes with successful. You know, we have such kind of e-gov, we call this e-gov or e-government, like mobile applications that, of course, the people, citizens of Kazakhstan can actually access all information about all documents sitting at home and printing at home, no going to outside to office to take it. So, you know, the story was that with this. So we have the big critics took place 2 months ago, 1 month ago, 2 months ago. So the bank account, or I mean the bank that people are paying for its service was choosing the Russian Sberbank. probably Mr. Conrad understand that if he lives in Russia about the Sberbank, I mean the Russian Sberbank. I mean that this is the total kind of Russia's the bank. So operator was given to Russia banks. So and believe me, I mean in social media, in mass media, started to criticize why does Kazakh government give the all personal, because this is the personal IDs. It's my IDs and all kind of personal IDs about about their belongings, about their money and so forth. Yeah, that you are giving to Russia's bank operator. So such kind of issues are taking place. Lots of that. For example, so nuclear energy, nuclear stations are building, are on the way of building in Kazakhstan. So and then the operator, the investor will be Russian Rosatomnprom. I mean those kind of Russian national nuclear the company. So that is the case. About that, from this example, we can see how the kind of the monopolizations of this kind of the basic strategic resources that are leading to do that. So this is despite of the critiques about the Crimea annexation issues and other kind of the and problems for this, of course. What I like from my ex-president Nazarbayev, that he constitutionally adopted Russian language as official language, the same with the state language as Kazakhs. So which means that the freedom and the violations based on the language and human rights violations are being banned by law, and those kind of Russian minorities in Central Asia, they have the same rights with the and the government support that. So kind of things are that. So of course the Crimea scenario in Kazakhstan and so forth, people started to speak about that. But of course, I would say as a citizens of this country and the Central Asian country citizens, I don't think that the local government let this, because local political the leaderships are those from who are the loyal to Putin's regime and so forth. So such kind of the cases that are every time are the changing presidents on parliament. So we don't see, because of the absence of particular incentives and resources for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mukan. Now, the next question delves more into the level of integration within the Central Asian region, of course. Now, the question goes, do the Central Asian republics see themselves as a unified region for strengthened coordination rather than competition? Now, the question also asks whether it would be interesting to look at the ASEAN model, where there are many differences in religion, governance, and languages. However, there are potentials to solidify regional integration. So what's your take on that, Dr. Mukan?
Thank you so much. Sorry, do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, sir, absolutely, loud and clear.
The 30 years of independence of the region of the country showed that the political idea, political consciousness of 5 countries of nations, despite of the fact that culturally they are close to each other, they showed that, and research showed that these 5 countries are totally different. The external actors influencing to 5 countries in different dimensions is not on the same level. So you can understand that, of course, the foreign direct investment, of course, for Turkmenistan and Tajikistan from the USA will be 2 different scale. So they will understand that, of course, US the foreign the companies will will check for the feedback. What is the level of the feedback? Of course, if the personifications of the business and the majority of the business enterprises are belonging to the political leadership of the country, of course, probably the Western the investors will think about the rule of law, transparency, and the corruption case, and so forth. So we had such cases at the beginning of 19th with the oil companies, with the oil field was when they was selling and so forth, and then it was nationalized again, and of course it's court decisions, court cases, and so forth. So I probably did not hear very well the question, but I understood from the question, how do the Central Asian nations see each other in terms of the cooperation, in terms of the union, and so forth? So the research shows that it is quite different directions, different idea that, of course, foreign direct investments is invested in different ways. So the priority for the level of trust is different. The level of trust by the different, and this is one case. Another case that we have very influential Russian factor, because everything when we cooperate within the Central Asia, we are cooperated from the prism of the Russia, from the prism of the we communicate in Russian language, we think about in Russian language, in Russian. So in these cases we have such kind of the tendency in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mukan. That was a very comprehensive and concise answer. Thank you. For the next question, this is more related to security. How would the interference of China, the United States, the EU in Central Asia affect the agenda and exercises of the Collective Security Treaty Organization in Central Asia? Furthermore, how important is Central Asia now vis-a-vis Russia's interests?
Thank you for the question. So this Collective Security Treaty Organization started to be functioned in 1992. So it will be strange to say that, but it is true. And we analyze and we see that CSTO is not an effective organization in terms of what? In terms of that, first, there is no need to that. All Central Asian republics has very good relations with China, with Russia, with Iran, with all neighbors, very good. So no any Central Asian country has the interest to have a very bad relations with the superpowers. This is the first what I would like to mention that. So here, like a CSTO, it is like a symbolic kind of organization to keep the balance, to keep the balance, and to not to invite the NATO kind of the military, kind of the studies, military exercises, and so forth, because we have very good case with Kyrgyzstan, because I mentioned in my presentation that Kyrgyzstan, in its 30 years of independence, changed his political regime 4 times, and time by time, the Kyrgyzstan's officials invited the Russian troops, and then military troops, and then American military troops, and then they have relocated them, and then the Russia was angry with that, and so forth. Then again, Americans was left, and then Russians were happy for that. And here we see so-called multilateral diplomacy for like a training military exercise, training the military soldiers to the Turkey as a NATO member, to USA, to European countries. Yeah, yes, they are doing. But the military strategic partnerships with Russia no any other Central Asian republics has no intention to break up with Russia. It is not because of the kind of the it is only from the based on the national interest. So for example, the Afghanistan situations that took place since the August, still the political leaders of these five countries are consulting with Putin, and they're consulting. Answering exactly your question, the question here is that the Central Asian republics consciously understand and aware about the no any other kind of except Russians, the Chinese or the US or NATO's will come, and then they will will locate their military base in there. Moreover, I would say, on the border between the Tajikistan and Afghanistan, there are located the Russian military troops. So border of Tajikistan and Afghanistan is protected by Russia's military troops. So you need to understand this very well, because the expenses for the military advancement of Tajikistan is not enough. So here we the Russia's the Ministry of Defense is protecting the border of Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and from this indicator we can see that what I like is that of my government in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan's officials know in Kazakhstan we don't have Russia's military troops at all, or any kind of foreign military troops. We have the Baikonur Cosmodrome. We have other kind of the activities, the military activities, but exercises, but traditional like a military base, like a Russian military base, Kazakhstan doesn't let to keep in its country, and including the other foreign military troops. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mukan. And we could probably ask our last question for the interest of time, of course. This question is regarding the Caspian Sea dispute. What are its impacts and implications to Kazakhstan and, of course, to the rest of the region?
Just I understand, but let me clarify the question. Could you please repeat this to be clarified very well? Sorry.
Regarding the Caspian Sea dispute, the security challenges facing the Caspian Sea maritime domain, what are its impacts and implications to Kazakhstan and the rest of the region?
Thank you so much for this question. Actually, this question solved in 2018. Actually, 3 years ago, it was totally solved. The problem is like that. We have between Soviet Union and Iran, we had the agreement of 1921. Maybe name of the country was different. Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe in 1921, between Soviet Union and Iran was the agreement. Okay, just only Iran and the Soviet Union, was belong. And then the agreement was in 1940 again, also between Iran and Soviet Union. But after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Russia, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Iran started to speak about their share. So, the agenda was like that. Here we see for Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan actually was much more beneficial. This agreement of 2018. I mean, the agreement was like that. Those kind of dispute territories, divisions of the Caspian shelf, Caspian aquatories, they're like Kazakhstani aquatories, yes. So the Kazakhstan suggestions was adopted like that, like the bottom will be Kazakhstan's, yeah, but the flora and the fauna and the water preface will be who are pretending, like Russia or Turkmenistan or Azerbaijan. Yeah, I mean those who as countries who are pretending to this territory. I would like to say that those kind of case, especially in the Caspian Sea division, the Kazakhstan's diplomacy, foreign policy activists and foreign policy diplomats, they really did hard. If you look at even on the map, so the most important activity for Kazakhstan was the bottom of the sea, because you understand here that in those areas, from the Soviet Union time, those areas was drilling the oil actually since those period of time. So Kazakhstan's diplomats approved and identified that this kind of the compromise was like the belonging, and the bottom will be Kazakhstan's, but the flora, fauna, and the water will be we can use, or the fishing industry we can use bilaterally, multilaterally, and so forth. So that was one of the success about the Kazakhstan's success in the division of the Caspian Sea. And please, you need to be aware about that since the collapse of the Soviet Union until 2018, the Caspian Sea was problematic for all 5 countries. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mukan, for that very interesting and, of course, comprehensive discussion. The question and answers were thrilling. And we thank you, obviously, for your time, for taking part in this special session to discuss the geopolitical dynamics of the Central Asian region, of course, regional and extra-regional states in the system. Now, to show our thanks, of course, Dr. Mukan, we wish now to present the certificates of presentation. I would be happy to read them out. Okay. Now, for the first certificate of appreciation is awarded to Gabriel Honrada for serving as a reactor during the webinar, Geopolitical Competition in Central Asia, Implications for the Middle East, Russia, South Asia, and East Asia, held on the 9th of November 2021 via Zoom. Given this 9th day of November 2021, signed by the Dean of the Asian Center, Dr. Henelito Echeverria Jr. And
thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Similarly, a similar certificate of appreciation for Professor Ninfa Caballero, also for providing her fantastic reaction for this particular session, given on the 9th day of November 2021, and also signed by the Dean of the Asian Center, Dr. Henelito Echeverria Jr.
Thank you very much.
And of course, for our special guest and key lecturer for this significant session on the geopolitical dynamics, of course, of Central Asia and beyond, we wish to provide a certificate of appreciation to Dr. Saken Mukan for serving as a speaker during the webinar, Geopolitical Competition in Central Asia, Implications for the Middle East, Russia, South Asia, and East Asia, held on 9th November 2021 via Zoom. Hold on, the chat box is okay. Given on the 9th day of November 2021, signed by the Dean of the Asian Center, Dr. Henelito Echeverria Jr. Dr. Mukan, thank you very much, and I hope you appreciate this kind gesture from the organization.
Thank you very much. It was my honor to be engaged with from the regions, which is from the Southeast Asian universities and academic scholars for the people who was really good to engage with that, especially to introduce the region of Central Asia, to be interested in Central Asia, and with it's really kind of the controversials and maybe positive, negative aspects of its regions. And for me, it was really my honor to be engaged with the Filipinos, the scholars from Philippines. And as far as I know, as far as as I read, Filipinos are the most happiest, as the happiest nation in the world, as far as I remember, and so forth. So which indicator I will search for that, but the indicator says that the Filipinos are the most smiling nations in the world, something like that. Let me check that, and then this is really interesting story for the. Thank you so much. It's my honor to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mukan. And on that note, we wish to thank you all, the participants, distinguished guests, for attending this very special session. And we look forward to more to come, and we hope for your participation in the next sessions as well. And on that note, thank you very much to all the organizers, and of course, for everyone taking part, and of course, Dr. Mukan. Thank you.